read, I feel quite anxious, and it feels like I don't want to be anywhere where I could be reading and I'm not reading, but also I don't know what mood I'm going to be in at that time. So I tend to bring like different journals and magazines, as well as maybe a memoir and maybe a novel. And this might be just for one night, but I'm especially now I can drive, so I'm not lugging it all on the train. And like my brother's used a Kindle since they were invented, and I know so many people use like Kindles or similar, and I'm just like, what if it ran out? What if it broke? I can't. I need to know. I've got stuff to read.
Hi, I'm Eve Menezes Cunningham, and welcome to the Feel Better Everyday podcast. I am so excited to be sharing new, trauma-informed and ADHD-friendly ideas for you to help you take better care of yourself, that highest, wisest, truest, wildest, most joyful, brilliant and miraculous part of yourself, as well as the basic self-care, which we all know can be so challenging at times. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you want a deeper dive, you'll be getting bonus content each week if you sign up to the Soul to Soul Circle. You can do that for free or from as little as €8 a month. And you can also find more ideas in the book, 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing.
Thanks for joining me again, Jane Leonard, on the Feel Better Everyday podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Eve. Thanks for having me.
So we're celebrating April Fools today and talking about, especially with ADHD, how we fool ourselves, how we delude ourselves. And I'm looking back through 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing. And I just looked at the April Fools entry, and it was what we're talking about today. Like, are you fooling yourself? Like, how can we really get honest in a compassionate and curious way about what we're doing and whether that serves us in terms of what we want to be doing and where we want to be going. But I'm just laughing that I was talking about deluding myself that yum yums were a healthy breakfast. And we're talking also about how like we delude ourselves in terms of, do you want to say some of the things you delude yourself about, some of the things you fool yourself around?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think I delude myself about is how much I can get done in any time period. And I just think, so time is, as we know, like a really tricky concept for people with ADHD. Anyway, we just, we struggle with it. But I think also I don't take into account maybe where I am in the whole, am I in the hyper-focus mode where I can get loads done, or am I kind of on the come down from that, or am I in the the burnout zone? So it has been, it's been kind of a journey to figure that out, and it's still definitely tricky. Like I sent you a photo when I was in Kerry in November, was it? I sent you a photo of about 6 books I brought to read, and I was only there for 4 days, and I also had a load of work to do and stuff. But this was like, it's almost like the fantasy of
absolutely
the fantasy of and I could get that stuff done if I sat and read, but I also have all this other stuff to do. But it's like my brain compartmentalizes, like, you want to get this done, so just focus on this and get this done. And it doesn't look at the other compartments that also need to be done. So I think that's the biggest thing I delude myself about.
I love that about reading, and I no longer call them to be read piles. They're like could be read piles, because I don't want that pressure. But I mean, for me, if I don't have something to read, I feel quite anxious, and it feels like I don't want to be anywhere where I could be reading and I'm not reading, but also I don't know what mood I'm going to be in at that time. So I tend to bring like different journals and magazines, as well as maybe a memoir and maybe a novel. And this might be just for one night, but I'm especially now I can drive, so I'm not lugging it all on the train. And like my brother's used a Kindle since they were invented, and I know so many people use like Kindles or similar, and I'm just like, what if it ran out? What if it broke? I can't. I need to know. I've got stuff to read.
I think packing is like one of the hardest things for people with ADHD, because you don't know what, you're so used to something not catching your attention, your focus that you thought might. So it's like you have to have 50 different things in the bag, just in case. So which was going to give me the dopamine now?
And thinking like in terms of music, or like the learning to drive has been hilarious. So I drive, my partner lives like, it's an hour and 45 minutes to drive there. So I'll have like some grapes and peeled clementines on the seat next to me, which I've learned over time to do. Initially, it's like, well, there's nowhere really safe to stop to drink on the way. So it's about having something you can just gently, but I need to listen to an audiobook, because if it's a podcast, it might have ad breaks that I don't like, they are too jarring. Or even if I have my liked music on shuffle, they sometimes insert their recommendations, and it's like, or even if it's something I've liked, I'm not in the mood for it in that moment. So I've learned to stop fooling myself that I can be more laid back, and I can't do radio at this stage at all. But I think knowing I'm still new to driving, I have to be really gentle with myself, and it's like, nope, I have a really long podcast episode and then I can pull over to change it, and this is a podcast that doesn't have ads, or an audiobook. That's the safest thing. And again,
predictable.
yeah, but in terms of fooling yourself, and so we've talked about how much we think we can get done. We're going to talk a bit more in the half moon and full moon recordings. So if you're not already a subscriber, you can join at evenc.substack.com. But I think even though it's really hard, like I've always been really early. Like I was at JFK Airport 9 hours before my flight, same in Spain, like kind of, I was so terrified that I would get distracted and wander off and miss my flight. So that I didn't realize was ADHD until I did. But it's that knowing, okay, we know that we don't have a natural relationship to time, but we also know that time is not actually, like, time clocks were only invented a few hundred years ago. Like, it's a social construct in a way.
You never thought about it like that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
even like people with dyslexic brains, apparently it depends on the part of the world you're from, because reading wasn't a natural thing that like all humans were born known to do. It evolved and we learn how to do it. And depending on where you are in the world, you read from right to left, or you read in other ways. So it depends. So I think, yeah, we can fool ourselves, but we can also be gentle with ourselves and think, okay, how can I make it? How can I feel less foolish around it? So I still laugh at overscheduling myself, but by blocking out big parts of my desk diary, I know that that time is not available also for the do.
Yeah, I think I also fool myself in that I think, okay, I can pack this, I'll just survive with this little bag. So I'll book my flight or whatever, and I'll have this little bag, and then I come to pack and I go, oh my God, no, I need to put everything in here. Or yeah, I fool myself a lot. It's actually a lot around time. Now that we're talking about it, I'm realizing it's actually almost all about time. But I was talking to someone else actually who fools themselves around, and this is not on purpose, but again, there's probably a time element. They would only kind of cherry pick the last 2 instances of something. So they might have had an interaction with a mother-in-law or something, and they might say, oh, she's actually really awful to me. But the 10 times before that, it wouldn't have been like that. But it's again, I think the time and our memories. Yeah.
That
Interesting.
kind of, like if you've got a cold and you can't imagine ever being able to breathe easily again, or if you're physically cold and you can't ever imagine being hot again, or the other way around. So recognizing that what we're feeling in that moment isn't everything.
True of everything, yeah. So the ability to zoom out is huge.
So do join us in the half moon and or full moon circles, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. I want to help as many people as possible with trauma histories and or ADHD learn how to help yourself, to connect with yourself with that uppercase, that highest, wisest, truest, wildest, most joyful, brilliant, miraculous part of yourself, and to become more fully embodied, at peace and at ease in your own skin. So to help me do this, if you can think of someone who might benefit, please share it. And if you haven't already and would like to, you can subscribe, comment, rate, review. And this episode, like all of them so far, has been produced by me, your host, Eve Menezes Cunningham. Thanks again for listening. And if you'd like more on this week's theme, you can subscribe as a free subscriber or paid member of the Soul to Soul Circle at evemc.substack.com. Find out more at selfcarecoaching.net. And each week, Half Moon members, that's the free subscribers, get some bonus content to support balance and harmony. So it's a bit of a deeper dive into the podcast theme. And then the following day, full moon and supermoon members get additional deep dives into helping themselves shine by really supporting, really soothing, really working well with your nervous system so that you feel safe enough to expand your comfort zone and do the things that you already know to do perhaps, but just supporting you and taking those steps. Let me know if any of that is of interest, and I hope you have a gorgeous day.